song that a lot of couples are probably familiar with. I think.
The sales pitch anyway, the whole idea behind it?
Yeah, let's do it. Come on, just one night. Probably included in their talks about their relationships.
Okay, here's the sweeter story.
Okay.
Boy meets girl.
Yes.
Boy marries girl, and they live happily ever after. Do they?
That's the cynical side coming out. Researchers say that times they are changing. Not only are young people getting married later, but they're even delaying living together, choosing to spend instead a few nights a week together. Fox 4's Natalie Solis here now to explain. Hi, Natalie.
Hi. Well, the study comes from researchers at the University of Missouri, and while it might not sound earth-shattering to say people stay over at each other's places, it is interesting that so many are choosing to make it a way of life and not taking the next step right away in their relationships.
And I think it's more of a selfish generation, and we like to have our own ways and our own times and our own schedules.
27-year-old Erin Bracewell has been with her boyfriend Mark for 5 years. They spend 3 to 4 nights every week together at his or her place.
But we're a million times better off together separately.
Erin and Mark are part of what researchers say is a growing trend of young people in stay-over relationships.
Almost live together, sort of.
Living together, marriage, those things on hold, making it a slow go getting down the aisle.
Well, I think more people have seen that couples that have moved in together and then it not work out. And so then what do you do after 5 or 6 or 7 years? You break up, have to split up your stuff and start all over.
Erin insists she and Mark are in a committed relationship, even though they don't cohabitate or wear wedding bands. She has a 7-year-old son and enjoys their independence and holding down a career.
Some people don't understand. They're like, well, you have 2 households. You're paying 2 rents, 2 light bills, 2, But at the same time, it allows me to be financially responsible for myself.
Sherry and Kevin Felton have a couple of decades of marriage under their belts. They admit to their own stay-over relationship back in the day and wouldn't discourage it for their own daughter.
She's a young adult and is making her own decisions and doing very well. I don't have any concerns.
Erin looks forward to marrying Mark one day and sharing a home. But for now, she's happy doing things on her own terms.
It allows you to be your own person, and it goes back to the whole, if you can't be happy by yourself, then you can't be happy with somebody else.
Natalie Solis, Fox 4 News.
And Erin brings up some really good points. I think joining us now, psychotherapist and relationship expert Nina Atwood. We appreciate you being in here tonight. All right, so you say that stay-over relationships are a good thing. Tell us why.
I think it's a good trend because if you look at the last 20 years with this whole trend toward instant relationships where couples meet one night and then they spend the night the next night and then 2 weeks later they're moving in together. Right. They're just rushing in so quickly that they set themselves up for a very high failure rate. This is a little better because it's saying that we're going to pace the relationship. We're going to actually take the time to get to know each other before we move in together or think about marriage.
Okay, but do you really ever get to know somebody? Because, if you're just going over there a couple of nights a week, you're kind of probably like, it's a company, your best behavior. You don't have a lot of laundry. You're not leaving your clothes all over the floor. It's just not how you would be at home. You're on good behavior.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of that mentality because, let's face it, nothing makes you get to know someone better than marrying them and moving all your stuff in together and sharing your bank accounts. I mean, you're really going to know someone on a much deeper level. But this is a way to get to know someone better maybe than dating and just seeing each other every so often.
So what do you think the push is behind this? You think it's, I don't know, maybe the divorce rate? Because, young adults have seen their parents go through divorces. You think it's just being slower? Like Erin said, we're kind of setting our ways and being selfish.
I think it's a little bit of all of those things. I do think that you're looking at a generation of kids, because this study was about college-age kids, and that they have grown up in a divorce culture. They've seen so much of it with their parents and their friends' parents.
Right.
And so, to some degree, they're cautious, and they're kind of saying, I don't know. This whole marriage thing doesn't seem to always work out so well, so why should we rush toward that? I think there's a lot of that. And I think for some people, it's kind of like the woman that you interviewed, that was interviewed, who's a little on the selfish side, a little bit on the side of, I like my space, I like my distance.
So any downsides at all, do you think, to this?
The one downside, I think, is that it's not the same as getting married. You're not going to be as deeply committed, and you don't have the opportunity for growth that you get in marriage, because marriage forces you to grow up, and it forces you to grow.
And make decisions together, as opposed to these are my finances and these are his finances. Right. It's doing it together and becoming more of a team.
If you have to work things out with someone because you share the same bank account and you share the same stuff, you're going to have to grow up. a lot to do that.
Yeah.
And so if you prolong this stay over relationship, you might not grow up as much. It's possible you could stay a little bit adolescent doing that.
Right. Well, and talking about adolescence, some people too in this study were talking about bringing kids into the picture, and that's a whole different sort of thing going on where you've got two households and kids. And
I think that creates a very complicated family environment, and
Right.
probably not the most stable environment for children. I think it's better for them to be in an environment with two parents in the same home, where they can witness that whole process of people learning how to get along together, learning how to work out their differences and deal with conflict.
You think the trend's going to stay around for a while?
Well, it's been around for decades. I think it'll be around.
It'll be around. Nina Atwood, thank you much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.